This podcast contains mature themes, questionable humor, and explicit language. Listen with discretion. Please take care.
Dialogue over drama?
Let's see what the fuck this puzzle is.
Yeah, what does it look like? Let go of control and see what happens. I think I'm going to have better experiences.
We are not ketchup, but this is Dialogue Over Drama, episode 57. You get that reference?
No.
Heinz 57.
Oh. That was good. I was like, what does ketchup have to do with this?
There you go.
Do you even like ketchup?
I do, but only in certain circumstances.
Certain circumstances. Circumcision circumstances.
So what's really funny about it is I have the worst. What do you think is the worst smell in the world?
There's lots of really terrible smells.
Okay, give me your top two.
The elevator today.
Body odor. Amazing.
Yeah. You're putting me on the spot. I don't know. Fucking dead worms in a can in a hot car.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad. Decay. Bad smell.
Yeah. When we went fishing and those worms, I left them in my car and they got hot. And then it wasn't like a can. It was like a container or something. Styrofoam container. And you went to open it and the smell of decayed worms on a hot summer's day, you puked.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a bad one. But so we're leaving them with so many questions. Why was there a bunch of worms in a can?
We were
this
going
is so
fishing.
weird. But it was a vending machine. Anyways. So the worst smell in the world is microwaved ketchup.
Ew, who would microwave ketchup?
Marty.
Your brother?
My whole life growing up. He would be like, gonna throw these fries and ketchup back in the fucking microwave, or I'm gonna put my ketchup on my eggs and then...
Cold. No.
Yeah, microwave ketchup.
I feel like the only circumstance is if you had like a burger that already had like toppings on it and you like wrapped it up and then you went to reheat it or something. Like,
sure, I'd eat that burger cold.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't, but that's the only time you
Anyway, speaking right after I bullied my brother and outed him for fucking microwaving ketchup like a lunatic.
Yeah.
Today's episode, we're going to get into bullying.
Yeah.
And a whole new perspective on it. And one of the things that we didn't talk about in this thing is when we were at lunch today talking about what we were going to end up talking about, we brought up Pink Shirt Day. Mm-hmm. And because it's near when we're recording this, but it will be about 2 weeks after the fact when you're hearing it. I have a problem, and this is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying this is the way the world works. I'm not saying anything. But the look on your face when I said this, you were like, what the fuck is your problem? Mm-hmm. Stop. Like those Pink Shirt Days to raise awareness. There's something about it that drives me nuts, and it always relates to like someone's getting money put in their pocket for something that like everybody knows. Like I remember being in a bar years ago and I was really drunk and a dude was like wearing all this like garb and stuff like that, and he was going around raising money for cancer awareness. And I was drunk and I said to him, if you can find a single person in this bar that you're like, have you heard about the disease cancer? And they said, what? What's this? I'll give you all the money in my fucking wallet. I'm like, stop telling me you're raising money for cancer awareness.
Right.
It just drives me bonkers. So, like, bully awareness. Who doesn't know about bullying?
Right.
What is this shirt thingy doing? Stop.
I think especially in schools and stuff, I think it's a way to just teach children, what bullying is and the impact of it.
Shouldn't that be part of the curriculum year-round?
I was going to say, shouldn't that just be part of raising a decent human being?
This is my point.
Be nice to everybody. Don't pick on anyone. I get it. I can I don't know a lot on this topic because I don't remember Pink Shirt Day at school. Maybe in high school near the end, but I don't know how long it's been around. And I know they do it into work. They do it at work now too. Everything is everywhere. Wear a pink shirt. And I'm sure every store, like I know Giant Tiger and Walmart, they'll have like a pink shirt section and they always sell, things for that day, whatever. And I think now maybe with kids, it's getting a little bit more into like the cyberbullying and like the education on that. But I just also feel like that's taught all the time. No, maybe not. I don't know.
Here's my thing. So I'm glad you brought up cyberbullying because I think you touched on what drives me nuts about it. You have a mom, and she changes her profile picture to one of those temporary profile pictures of like the Pink Shirt Day, anti-bullying, da-da-da-da-da, there. Mm-hmm. And then a week later, her son gets in trouble at school for bullying. Mm-hmm. she's going to be like, he would never do this, and argue instead of like confronting with her own kid, because she's more aware about her self-preservation, that she's so vain that she just posted anti-bullying. The last thing she wants to do is have on Facebook that her son bullied.
Right.
So she'd rather go the route of covering up that her son bullied than actually addressing the problem, which is why you shouldn't even change it to that in the first place.
Yeah.
So sorry for the rant, but once again, this is just my opinion. But like, can you see where my opinion is? I'm not asking you to agree, but I'm like, but do you understand where I'm coming from?
I see where your theme is coming from with the whole, when people are trying to raise awareness for something that everyone's already aware of.
Right.
I get that. I just don't know enough about Pink Shirt Day and what that entails, and do people raise money, and where does it go? I don't know. I don't know any of that, but maybe I'll look it up after.
Yeah.
But this whole episode is basically about bullying and our experiences, so.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I do want to throw one little last clause in, just because I'll probably forget it next time we talk. I end up talking in this episode about how I got different styles of bullying from like guys and girls. And one of the weird things that actually sparked it was Valentine's Day. I remember when I grew up, they used to make you like well, not make you, but it was just custom. You would make a Valentine for everyone in your class, right? Yeah. You say, oh, like, it's sweet. This is why I don't think you would trauma about this, because every single person that would hand me one would be like, my mom made me do this.
Right.
It just, I was like, what the hell?
Did you ever see that video of that mom who was filming her kids' Valentine's Day cards that he or she, I can't remember, wrote up? It was on like construction paper, and it was like red or pink paper folded in half. And on the outside it said like, to Connor, to Sarah, to whatever. And on the inside, a lot of them were like, you're so beautiful, or we're best friends, or whatever. And there's just like one kid where it was just like, I don't like you. Or it was like, you're the mean one. Like, it was just something. I don't know what the kid said. I'll have to find the video, but it was so funny. The mom was just like, you can't put that in the card.
Yeah.
But the kid was being honest.
Was she, or was it just the whole vibe of the classroom? And that's what we'll get into in this episode.
Yeah,
Let's change the channel.
I guess you can't lose it, I can never find.
So we are once again getting back into bullying. It's been a kind of a hot topic on our podcast. I've done a lot of self-reflection, and I think I have a totally different view of bullying. Like, I have a different, not like the stupid, the bully's probably being hurt at home or whatever, like, perspective. I have this weird kind of thing where I've always discounted the bullying you experienced when it comes to perspective of the bullying I experienced.
Yeah, you always wanted to like compare like my experience to yours, and saying like, yeah, but you have no idea how it was, and how intense it was for you, and things like that.
And I think like I have my reasons why that I don't want to get into like right now. But I think what it's done is, I think that what I started focusing on is because you viewed it as very traumatic bullying, the issues that it ended up ultimately causing inside of your brain, and like made the bits of how you act and how I act be ingrained. So it doesn't matter the extent of it. What matters is the result.
Right.
Like, it's that, so I wanted to kind of have a fresh kind of talking about bullying with that in mind.
That's interesting. Yeah. Cause it's been a lot of years since we've talked about this, because I stopped bringing it up, the fact that I was bullied, because in the past, anytime we had a conversation, it always felt like a comparison. So what's changed for you? What have you reflected on over the last few years? That
the same thing that I always do is I'm never satisfied with my concrete answer. I'm never satisfied with that, and I always want to dive deeper into why something is this way. The simple answer is always great, but then I can't help myself but to dive into it and then wonder what's blocking me from diving more into it.
Right. Well, even at lunch today, like when we were kind of spitballing some ideas for the next few episodes, and you brought this up, you were even talking about how bullying has kind of like shaped me into who I am. The issues or the things that I had to come over, the quirks in the relationship of my personality was a result of my experience with bullying, but you have your trauma and your view of it as well. And I think it even goes back to when we had a conversation with a friend's partner up at your brother's place who's a teacher. And I think when you hear a more modern day version of like how the school system is, and knowing that there's like still good teachers out there and people that actually care about kids and they put in a lot of thought and effort into making the school experience good, you have really a hard time with that because you were bullied in school. School will always be a negative thing for you because of where you got bullied. And I'm not saying you didn't get bullied in other areas of your life.
No, yeah.
But like you kind of, from what you've experienced to me, it mainly was school because you had church. You had some core of people there.
Sure, yeah.
And you were more separated because you were in the band and playing a lot of music in church.
Yeah.
You kind of had your own little group of friends, maybe not many, but you had like your brother and then his friends and things like that. But yeah, you always just equate a lot of your traumatic bullying experiences with school.
Yeah, but like I'm talking pre-grade 9. Like the bullying continued past grade 9, but I was 100% mentally adapt to everything that was going to happen by grade 8. Mm-hmm. Well, like going into grade 9, like there was nothing anyone could really throw at me that I couldn't mentally handle. It was going to suck to get through, but like I had already figured life out at that point.
Yeah, but we had talked about at lunch, like kind of the way bullying molded us, where it made you become the person that literally doesn't care what anyone thinks. Right. I think you saw at the end of it all in your adult years, you saw the other side of it.
Oh, 100%.
And I think you still have those experiences, maybe those flashbacks and bad memories, and they still hold a piece. But I think you kind of, for the most part, got over it and have grown a lot of confidence from that. I think a lot of the experiences I had with being bullied were kind of in more of a girl manipulative kind of bullying way. Like,
so actually, okay, not to cut you off, but so there's just a couple things you've said that I just wanted to touch on. One was the whole school thing. I don't think the school system is changing. What I really appreciate when we met, our friend, we can't say our friend's partner because I'm friends with this dude now. I love this man. What brought me joy about it is there is someone in that system that doesn't work doing the greater good.
Right.
That's what I relate to. You were to tell me that like even 20% of people that are in teaching were like this person, I wouldn't believe you.
Right.
Because that's not true. Mm-hmm. So like the school thing is, yes, but I know the point you were making. I just wanted to clarify so you know my feelings. Like I could talk to you later about this, but I figured because you're here right now, why not tell you now?
Yeah.
The other thing was when I realized today, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about the bullying thing because we were going to talk about it today. I grew up the first like kindergarten going through till like grade 3 or like maybe 4. It was physical violence. It was like I was just beaten and picked on and fought and like things stolen from me or things broken. When it got to like grade 5 and 6 is when I experienced the type of bullying that I'd never experienced, which I assume is what you experienced mostly, was when the girls started bullying, being like, hey, my friend likes you, to embarrass her.
It's funny, and I never had that typical.
What I'm saying is it's the girl bullying was more mental and emotional, and the male side was very physical. So it was like but the physical still kept on. So I just wanted to point that out, that it was a weird thing where I realized once it got into when girls started bullying me, it was a totally different form of bullying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not to say that like the physical form of bullying isn't also very mentally, obviously taxing. I was thinking more like mentally taxing. Like, of course, that's going to cause a lot of those issues as well. Mine wasn't so much physical. I only had 1, maybe 2 altercations where a form of bullying was like physical. The majority of it was like pure isolation.
Right.
And that was something that I never really understood. Like, I still remember the first time being bullied. It was actually for doing a kind thing. I was in grade 3. I had just switched schools into the 3rd grade. And as I'm trying to make friends with this new school, there was one other girl who was new. And so I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, at least we have something in common because we're both new today.
Right.
The girls that went to that school were very like, I don't know what kids did back then, is they had clubs. So they're like, oh, we have this club, and if you want to be in the club, you have to do a cartwheel. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So like, okay.
Yeah.
So I did a cartwheel, and then this other girl the new girl went to do a cartwheel but couldn't. And so they were like, you can't be in our group. And I was so sad because I was like, you're just going to leave her out?
Right.
So I tried to stick up for her, and immediately the way that it was like everyone turned on me. Like, I remember going to school and the girls would all be like, even to the boys, like, don't talk to her today. Don't talk to her today. And just like that, being completely isolated.
Right.
No one to eat lunch with. Everybody's purposefully ignoring you. that was absolutely devastating. And I think it continued to carry over because I let it happen, but I wanted to fit in and make sure that I never felt that way again. So I would join the club and let the other girl, like, I became just as nasty. I became a bully because I was so like, I don't want to be excluded. I never want to feel that way again.
Do you think that
and that led into my people pleasing tendency?
Do you think that I was going to say, do you think that represents itself now that you're like, oh shit, I realize what it means to go against the grain. Now I just have to go with the grain, and I need to mock the people that aren't going with the grain.
No, so like even after like,
Well, okay, I just want another question. No, I want to clarify something. I like, because I don't understand what you meant by it. You said the form of bullying I had was isolation. Mm-hmm. That's such an interesting thing. I've never heard someone say the type of bullying I experienced was isolation. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Like, exclusion? Is that more what you mean?
Yeah, but when you're excluded, you're alone.
Right.
And when you're alone, you're isolated.
Right.
Like, I was isolated in a classroom. Like, that's the part I didn't get. Like, it just, like, separated, right. Isolated, detached, excluded, all those words. That was the type of bullying that I went through.
Right. Interesting.
So, and like, that carried, like, what that ended up developing was people-pleasing tendencies. And even after years of therapy and growing and working on myself, like, I'm not 100% a non-people pleaser, because if I had that at school, I also had it at home. Right. I didn't have bullying at home. I just had a different level of, like, like, I had young parents that were just trying to, like, continue to raise themselves as they raise children. Like, not saying I was ever ignored or anything like that, but we've talked about, like, the relationship I've had with my parents. And so,
what is your definition of bullying?
I think bullying is anything that you do to somebody to make yourself feel better at their expense.
Right. Okay. Fair. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So like, unfortunately, like, now I think I walk that fine line where now I people please enough, because there still is that fear of, like, not belonging, not being liked.
Right.
But there's a lot that I've realized that actually being myself and not caring on certain things is what makes me liked, because I stand out and I'm different. And, like,
absolutely.
But I teeter, right? I always teeter with that true authenticity and leaning into what everyone else is doing just to, But that also, like, has faded more in the last few years, because now I have a good friend group.
Well, what I was going to say was, it's nice to have just a few Courtneys now, because there's times where, like, you have a friend that, like, in the past, you would have a friend that you act like this and dress this way when you're with them. And then you have a friend that you act this way and act this way. Mm-hmm. Like, a clear example was, I remember this is very early on in your career. I don't even think you were working with the same company you're working for now. And you had gone out to, like, a dinner, and all the girls there, all they were doing was just trashing their husbands and, like, mocking them and just going on, and you just kind of sat there and just observed it. And we're like, yeah, man. And then you'd come home and told me about it, and you told me how uncomfortable you were, that you felt like this need to, like, not shit on me, but to, like, even acknowledge. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, because it was stuff like, he worked all day, it was a Saturday, but because he chose to take the overtime when he got home, I made him do the chores with me, because of, like, something stupid like that. That's just an irrational thought. That's just, but they're like, but he's the asshole in this. And you're like, no, he's actually not.
Yeah.
Something stupid like that. And I remember you coming to me and being like, that made me feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what that was. I think I know what it is. But yeah, I think now, as I've gotten older too, like, because I also don't like confrontation, because, again, I don't want to draw attention to myself in a negative way. And even though standing up for somebody, disagreeing with someone's opinion, again, to a degree, I feel like could cause bullying, because, like, bullying doesn't stop just because you're an adult.
No, not at all.
And so, again, because I have a lot of that fear, that I would rather just sit through that uncomfortable, dinner and just be like, yep, men suck, and just, like, kind of go along with it, but to a degree, though, because then I also don't want people thinking that, because I've also done this where I lie. Like, I now have made you believe that I agree with you, or I feel this way for the sake of just people pleasing and whatever, and I've had it bite me in the ass, because then I get dragged into things that I never really want to do, or that person has now categorized me a certain way. If they see or know that I'm not that way, well, now I'm just a liar and you don't like me. So I really pick and choose now. When do I just sit back?
The point that I was trying to do before you didn't let me finish my sentence.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You just bullied your way into the conversation.
Oh.
I'm kidding. But what I was following up with was, you now in those situations, what I love about it is you skip the step of wanting to like tell them off for it, which is what you just talked about, you know? And what's lovely that I was waiting for you to like kind of come to the resolve of what I see in you that sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit for seeing. The one option I see you go to more often that you didn't even bring up right now is you go, oh, that must suck, you know, like I don't have that problem at all. And you just talk about your things, not disagreeing with them. You're just like, oh, that's a bummer, empathize.
Yeah.
And then say, you know, I don't see it that way. And you just present your thing after empathizing. That's your go-to now.
Okay, yes, I agree with you. And I think it is when it's people that I'm acquaintances with or friends with that I genuinely like care about, or I feel like they could be like in my bubble of like similarities. Because to me, I'm like, I actually like you in your core. So yeah, I will vocalize like, oh, interesting point. Like I didn't see it that way. And I know how to vocalize that. But when I'm in a room of like practically strangers and I'm trapped in a conversation and it goes in a way that I'm just like, nope. I just sit there and I'm like, nope. And I'm like, I will do everything. If they're like, oh, well, what do you think? And I'm like, not sure. Like, I would rather, you know, neither admit or deny whatever's happening in this conversation here, where I'd rather you just think of me as neutral than not like me. Because I've also got, as I gotten older, I don't need everyone to like me.
Right.
But when you're in a classroom and you just need to get through school, or you're at work, you just need to get through work. Like, yes, you want the general consensus of people to like you so that your life is easy. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
So what's funny is I've just kind of had something that I know I'm going to do a lot of thinking about. But when you started talking about how you had the example of the cartwheel club and that whole vibe, I'm starting to think that part of the reason that I devalue when other people say they were bullied is you have, wow, Margie, you have that point in life where you can, you know, like how people talk about a villain moment where like this is his villain moment where he chooses to either be the villain or on the good side. Like from what you're saying is like, I was just like, fuck it, I want to join the club and then I'm just going to do this. Like you chose the villain thing and you're still today struggling with it, you say. I think with me, I just chose okay, I'm alone. I genuinely am unique. I'm genuinely who I am myself. I'm this. It's going to be a struggle, but I don't care. I'm going to go the opposite way of the stream. And so that's what I dove into. So like, I think my brain, what happened is now I judge people for not making the right decision. That might be something that's deep-seated in me, that's where I'm like, how can you claim you have trauma from bullying when you chose to do the same thing that someone did trauma to you to them? How can you ride both sides of that fence? And that's where my brain goes to. Yeah,
no, and that's fair. And I think that's the way you always saw it for so long, because I would tell you stories of how I got bullied, but I would also tell you things of like what I just said, like where I would kind of maybe not be the nicest person to someone else just for the sake. And I think it was really just all self-preservation.
Right.
It was me just being like, I know that I'm so isolated at home and I spend a lot of time alone. And I knew that I couldn't have two areas of my life, which is just school and home, both be isolating, like lonely. I knew that some social aspect had to happen. And so I went through, like, and I said, it got worse in my teens. Like I went through some serious fucked up shit just to always be wanted or liked or fit in. And then but like I said, now I look back on those things and I'm like, if I was to tell my younger self, like,
just dive in. You have isolation. You have all the time alone in the world without commitments. Like learn, like,
it would be stop focusing on all of the things that you think you need to do to fit in when they aren't going to matter. Focus on all of the things that you want to become.
Absolutely.
Because if I think about all of those hours and all of those times that I put myself in those situations to be liked or to do those things, now I'm like, man, I could have figured out more about who I was earlier on.
Right.
And maybe I would be somewhere different. Like, I mean, I took the course I took, but yeah, that's just been...
I think of like when I was like 16 in high school, and then people just look at me as this like nerdy kid, and like doesn't really talk to anybody really in the school, and his younger brother and his younger brother's friends. You'd get stuck on like a project with someone, you know, they'd pair people up on a science project or something. And then you'd be like, oh, so what are you doing this weekend? You'd end up like having conversation. And I'm like, well, I have a band practice, and then I'm actually playing a show out in London. Like, you play music?
Yeah, I really want to get into, like, just your overall... Because, like, for you being bullied the way that you were, you said physically, up until a certain age, and then you went into high school, I want to know what that's about. But, yeah, those are the things that I want to know about you, because... So you were physically bullied until a certain point. So you weren't ever, like, hit or beat on in high school?
Yes and no. Like, so this is what... I was almost 6 feet by the time I was, like, 11, 10 years old. Like, you've seen the pictures of me with kids my own age, and I look like a man standing there.
Right. So were kids just intimidated not to try?
No, it became that I was so timid and I didn't want to fight back because I already knew physically me swinging and hitting a kid is going to kill him.
So, but then
I never fought back. So it became something that it was like, we're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's just like every single big dude that you'll ever talk to will be like, someone's tried to pick a fight with me at a bar.
Right.
To prove their worth.
Right, take the biggest guy out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So what kind of level of bullying did you have in high school then? Because...
I had a lot of, like, people following me home. I had people from high school break into my house when my mom was still in bed and steal our TV, steal all our shit. I had... People would get someone from different high schools to come in during lunch and then corner me in my locker.
Okay, so like teasing.
No. Like physically, like someone would say, hey, Dan was trying to hit on your girlfriend to someone else.
Okay, so in high school, you didn't have anyone physically like jump you or attack you. You had still physical things happen, like a break-in.
Oh, no.
Or tampering with your things.
Yeah, I got jumped twice in Gage Park.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
But, like, your day-to-day, though. So, you now have, like, a science project. Because this is where I'm thinking, like, you were, like, you've always said, oh, I wasn't the social kid. And which is crazy because you're such a social person. And I'm sure you were in other areas of your life. But everyone picked on you. Everyone thought you were the weird kid. You had no friends. You had no girlfriends, whatever. But then there's definitely moments in which being social with a classmate has to happen, like a school project, science fair, whatever. How did that go down? Like, was it similar to my situation where all the kids would talk and be like, don't like Dan, don't hang out with Dan?
It would be
because you're paired up with a kid.
So, like, he would have the thing, and then the kid would make a huge public thing in front of the whole classroom, being like, why did you put me with Dan? Why do I have to be with Dan?
I don't understand what everyone didn't like about you.
Because I didn't go along with stuff. I was quirky. I was still myself. I would still try to joke around with everyone the way that I do now in society.
So would you put your hand up in class for an answer? Were you the class clown? Like, did you try?
I wasn't the class clown. I would sit there and I'd be quiet. But in, like, social settings, I'd try to be social. Like, there were some kids in high school that I would kind of just attach myself to the stoners. But I didn't smoke weed and I didn't drink. Like, because I was going to church. That was my life. So
you didn't have full isolation. You didn't fit in anywhere.
I just went with the people I wanted to go with. Mm-hmm. Like, I always went with the misfits. Like, when I was, like, 12, when my parents split, like, a lot of church activities would go on. And then a Friday night, my dad would have, like, his, like, you know, time, like, the custody that he would have with us. And Dad would take us to go play sports with, like, the church group. So it was just a co-ed group, and I met kids my age at that point and older than me, and just became friends with people at church that were just good people.
So then what all of your experience with bullying, then, what do you think that has shaped you? Because you sound like the kind of kid that didn't give a shit then, doesn't give a shit now. So did bullying not bother you at all? Clearly it did to some degree. And what do you think what kind of person did that make you? Like, and is there anything about bullying that traumatically still carries over now? Like with me, sometimes still people pleasing just to fit in, to avoid the chance of bullying. Is there any of that has carried over?
The thing that's carried over from bullying for me is I have a lot of anger I want to throw it into the world. Like, I have so much anger that's inside of me that I contain. Like, I've bottled up so much anger in my world that, like, I keep it so when I see something of bullying in the real world, I can stop it. And I can go from 0 to 10 with, like, absolute see red, go ballistic, and know it's on the right side of the fence.
Right.
Like, I hate that oh, I'm going to do this to make myself feel better. Like, there's very few times you've seen it around me. Like, there was the one time outside the dollar store where the security guy was doing his job and someone was like, you know, like, are all yelling because they think they have moral ground over what he's doing. Because at that point, you know, if it was their shop they were stealing, they'd love the security guard. But now they just want to fucking bully a situation and someone who's in a vulnerable situation where I went to 0 to 10. You saw me.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think a lot of your experiences have carried over into you don't let other people bully.
No.
Like, if you see it, you shut it down.
Yeah, it's like, and so that's why when like things like transphobia, you see that in the world, or homophobia, or people being racist, or anything, it quells in me because I'm like, this is useless. This is like, or any kind of phobia what's directed to other humans because it's so fucking dumb because they're humans. There's nothing to be scared of. They're fucking humans. Like, that's where I go. That's the thing that's held on, is there's so much anger in me. And like, if you look at every time you see me going fucking nuts with angry, it always relates to someone. Yeah. So this is an interesting topic. Now that we kind of are both on kind of level playing fields, we should definitely revisit this in a couple episodes. Just kind of go back to this. This would be something really interesting. For sure. No, this has been good. I'm glad you're kind of seeing it in a different light now and understanding, you know, not to be so dismissive of what my experience was with bullying. And I think everyone's is different, right? I think that both of us know now that we can't be hypocritical in anything in our life. And I think it's making it better because, like, when we do sit down and really talk nowadays, because we're both so busy, it tends to be on a podcast. So every serious conversation we have, I just think, oh man, they can play the tape back now. I need to really be concrete in what I'm saying. Yeah, no, so, that's fun. It's accountability, buddy. It's a good thing. Sounds good. All awesome. Right. Well, I appreciate everybody listening. I would be interested to hear kind of what other people's experiences have been with bullying. You know, were you the bully and it's something that you've learned from? And because that's another thing too. I've had past bullies now in my adult years, like, and you've had it too, where they're like, hey, sorry for being a dick in high school. Like, sorry for picking on you, you know, and were you one of those people, or did you get picked on and, you know, have you gotten over it, or is there things that you've learned, or is there things that you've still carried over, you know? Absolutely. I feel like everybody's different. So did you pick on me? Yeah, you never know. But, give us a like, give us a follow at Dialogue Over Drama, DIALOGOVER DRAMA. All right. Thank you for listening. Love you guys. Bye. Bye. Dialogue Over Drama is recorded in Stony Creek, Ontario. Original music provided by Allegories and Jesse James and the Medicine Show. This has been a Dialogue Over Drama production.